Hello everyone, and in today's video we have the two best Nintendo Switch controllers that I'm going to be comparing. They both happen to be from powera. This one is the enhanced wireless controller that I've had for over a year at this point, and then this one is the Fusion Pro wireless controller that I've only had for a couple of weeks. And in my opinion, one of these controllers is going back, and it's not going to be the one that I've had for a year. Obviously, I like this one. But in this video, I'm going to be telling you guys why I think that the enhanced wireless controller is actually the best controller for the Nintendo Switch. Right now, I've been using the Fusion Pro wireless for the past couple of weeks, and honestly speaking, it is really good. It performs very similarly to the other Fusion Pro wireless controllers that I've tried. Not wireless. It's only wireless for the Nintendo Switch and PS4, but for Xbox, the one I've used the most, that one's actually wired. You can't even use it wirelessly. So the Nintendo Switch actually has that leg up on Xbox, is that they can have third-party wireless controllers, which is really nice. So that's very cool. The input lag is not that bad either. Like, you can play regular games without any input lag. If you play Apex Legends, for whatever reason, Apex Legends on Nintendo Switch does not really perform that well with anything. Like, not with the built-in controllers, not with the the Joy-Cons or whatever. Like, Apex Legends is really just a horrible game for Nintendo Switch. Oh, okay, Luigi, I see you, cuz. But basically, the input lag on this controller is pretty good. Honestly speaking, I don't really have any major complaints at all between the both of them. But this controller, it just has a little bit too much stuff going on at the back of it. So I don't really think that this controller is really necessary for the Nintendo Switch. It is really comfortable, and I do like the rubberized grips, and I would probably say that the rubberized grips is the only reason why I would go with this controller over going with the regular wireless version of the enhanced controller. And I just enjoy the fact that this one only has 2 buttons on the back, where this one has up to 4. Even though you can pull these off and you can just, have as little or as many of these little paddles on the back that you actually want. And it is very easy to reprogram these as well, actually for both controllers. So you press and hold this little button right here, the light on the front will start to flash. You will hit the button that you want to map on the front of the controller, and then you will hit the paddle that you want to map that button to, and that's pretty much it. Very easy to do. You got USB Type-C and the pairing button up front, or you can just pair it with the Nintendo Switch thing and just hit like L and R at the same time, your bumpers, and then it pairs with your Nintendo Switch. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as looking around the controller and whatnot. Now, this controller, you can actually swap the front faceplate. So this is the white faceplate with the red accents that they give you inside of the carrying case that you actually get with the Fusion Pro as well. And you can also put on this black front as well. So you can have it be, super stealthy and all black like a regular Xbox controller. And it's got the same Xbox layout as well. Or you can also go ahead and swap the thumbsticks to some longer and taller thumbsticks, which I don't really deem as necessary. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool, I guess, to have the longer and taller thumbsticks, but I really don't feel like it's necessary on the Nintendo Switch. Like, I've never had an issue with having these little bit shorter thumbsticks for the Nintendo Switch, where these sticks, they just seem a little bit too long for most games that I would play, largely because the Nintendo Switch games usually don't need pinpoint aim for a lot of the games that you play. It's, it's just not that type of console. So like on an Xbox or PlayStation controller, I definitely would want to have those, at least as an option. On the Nintendo Switch, I don't really think that it's necessary, unless you just want symmetry between having a Fusion Pro for Xbox and having a Fusion Pro for Nintendo Switch. Now, also inside the carrying case, you have a USB Type-C cable for charging, and then you also have a little cover if you choose to take off the paddles on the back of the controller. So just so you don't have a blank space, you can actually just slot this little cover in, and there you go. Now you have no paddles on the back at all. Honestly speaking, I don't know if I would just buy this controller purely for the rubberized grips. Like, they're very good. I like them, of course. I do like them on the Xbox controller too. This just feels kind of plain, and for $100, it wouldn't be worth it. But normally it's on sale for about like 65 to 70 bucks. I picked this one up for 70 bucks, but I checked it again today on Amazon. It was actually $65, which is pretty good. For all the functionality, honestly speaking, it's a really good deal. So if you want maximum functionality on a controller like this, then $60 to $65, especially in comparison to a regular Switch Pro controller, actually is not a bad deal. But realistically speaking, I don't really need all the functionality that the Fusion Pro controller has to offer for gaming on the Nintendo Switch, since most of the time I'm just playing like Mario Kart or Pokemon or Super Smash Brothers. I don't really need 4 paddles at the back. Having a couple of extra back buttons is honestly good enough for me. And you reprogram it the same when you hit this button, you press and hold, you'll see this little light flash. And 3, 2, 1, I hit the B button, I tap the pad I want to map it to, and done, just like that. And same thing, pair button, USB Type-C port, all of the buttons up here feel exactly the same as far as the bumpers and triggers. And then these are also some more buttery smooth thumbsticks. And the thumbsticks between the two don't feel any different as far as smoothness goes, but I will say that on the Pro controller, you do have the ridges, kind of similar to like an Xbox One controller. On the other one, on the cheaper one, you don't have those, it's just rubberized, so it is a little bit more slippery. So you can definitely tell, you know, the grip difference, so that may be one reason to go with this one over that one. But also over a year, obviously, you know, I've worn it off, but it's good that actually it lasted the entire duration that I've been using this controller, because I've been using it to play a ton of different games on the Nintendo Switch, especially when I'm just sitting on the couch. This is much better to use than Joy-Cons. But we also do have a nano version of the enhanced controller with the same functionality as well. So you have exact same placement of the buttons and everything, and you do have the back buttons at the rear, and more or less it's the exact same controller, just made for kids or people with really small hands. So personally, this is too small for me, and the pricing is really similar. Like this one is like $43-ish, where this one is like 45 bucks. And obviously I'm gonna prefer the bigger one, of course, but if you have kids or you have a kid that's trying to, you know, have a little bit more ergonomic controller for them, this would be a really good option. And it's also cheaper than the Pro controller for the Nintendo Switch, first party from Nintendo, at 45 bucks roundabout. Personally, I don't really need the mini one, but this is kind of cool to have. You know, they don't really see mini controllers very often. And then if you're looking for RGB or just a cheaper wired controller, you can also get the Spectra RGB wired controller. But to be honest, I usually use my Nintendo Switch plugged into the TV, so I don't really think that I really would like to use a wired controller, even though the Switch OLED does have those USB ports on the side of the dock, so that is pretty useful. Otherwise, I don't really think that I would use this one. It's fine, you know, it's basically the same thing, it has all of the same buttons and everything. It's just wired, and I want a wireless controller for my Switch. But at the same time, this controller is about 45 bucks. This controller you can generally find under 30 bucks, and it has RGB, so that's kind of cool. But even if I had kids, I don't really know if I would want them using a wired controller on the Nintendo Switch, because if they get excited, they're like, yeah, woo, then your Nintendo Switch goes flying and probably busted. And these Switch OLEDs are a little expensive. What was this, 350 bucks? I want to say 400 bucks. Just get a wireless controller, spend the extra money. It's totally worth it, especially for the safety of this expensive device. But anyways, my favorite Nintendo Switch controller is definitely the PowerA Enhanced Wireless Controller for about $45. And I hands down think that it is better than the more expensive PowerA Fusion Pro, but this does have a lot of features that are really nice. And if it's on sale for extra 20, maybe 25 bucks, and you can make your own decision to determine if that upgrade is going to be worth it or not. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to drop a like and subscribe to the channel as well. And yeah, I will have these controllers linked in the description below so you can check them out for yourself. But yeah, thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.